All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash. Give honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and the few sisters out there. On to this life farthest from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Shalom in Hebrew, which means peace. Title itself is self-explanatory. And, of course we have a lot of distractions here in the shores of America. Consistently. While everybody's distracted and wars are going on around the world, mainly with the land of Israel. And I'm going to do a show on that too. Basically, Israel is going full throttle of attacking Iran. So World War III, any day, any moment, will be there. Now we are already in the verge of war. We are already in World War III. But there's always a pivotal point to an event. Slakia. And this pivotal point of this event is the U.S., Iran, Russia, Israel, China, NATO, and so forth. Prior to that, this beautiful gathering of mightiest warriors in the world, there were certain things in motion that was going to, one, cripple Babylon from this point on, which would have been a perfect excuse of world dominance and reasoning to go to war. You always have, especially in these world wars, World War One, reasoning for a lot of countries of Germany, Japan. No, it was Germany, Austria. I gotta remember mine. But you had a certain type of alliance that was done back for World War One, the Great War. And everybody had to get involved, mostly the European nations. Second World War, the excuse was Germany, concentration camps, Pearl Harbor. This war that's about to take place, there's multiple avenues. Even back then there was multiple points of why this World War III, World War was being fought. And here, this is the headline itself. It says, New World Order in the Making. Here's why this BRICS summit will be special. And what do they mean by New World Order in the Making? With BRICS, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China. I forgot the S stand for. It'll come to me. I can't remember right now. And multiple other nations that wanted to join the BRICS wanted to eliminate what America was doing. But the American dollar, which was world renowned after World War II, where America could sanction any nation it felt like, which would cripple their economy, because everybody had to trade. The American dollar at one point was like a universal money. And we all know dollars, euros, and all this other paper currency, fiat currency, is pretty much just an IOU. And the U.S. had a leverage over all nations of this IOU. So now the nations got together and decided we will no longer trade with these IOUs that come in from Babylon. We're going to trade them amongst ourselves, which make logical sense. I'm speaking like this because you got to think logically. The logical sense is that the nations that are together all have natural resources. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this, which is all biblical. All right, let me get to the point. The quest for genuine cooperation. Slovakia. Traditionally, the UN has been seen as a basic multilateralism, but its alignment with the West powers is being called in question. So off top, it tells you there's a great disconnect. The UN which is supposed to be United Nations, was supposed to able to keep the peace and be not biased, but has everybody's best interest. But it hasn't. Shit, the UN is in the soils of America. How blatant can you get? You know, this summit. Oh, when you go down there too, right across the street from the UN, there's a plaque that's claiming Isaiah the second chapter, when it speaks about no nation shall rise. No nation shall rise. Let me get that real quick. Isaiah 2 and 3. I'm sorry. This is the one. Isaiah 2 and 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their pruning hooks into spears. And their spears into pruning hooks. So this is a prophecy stating the weapons of war would no longer be used for war. Actually, the weapons that they have is going to be used for farming. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So right across the street from the UN, they have this plaque shown. But these people don't even follow not even one single thing. And then on top of it all, this is a prophecy that states that when Israel when the Israelites enter the land of Israel, there will be no more war. So obviously, those people that small hatters, they're not fulfilling anything. Oh, they're fulfilling prophecy, right? They're fulfilling Ezekiel the 36th chapter. All right, around like the 5th verse, because they are the Idumeans. So these people have the nerve to have this plaque right across the street from the UN, which the UN was once called the League of Nations, and the other nations don't feel that they are part of that at all. Going back to this, it says this summit is the highest point of a mountain. So all the governments, this government, and Kazan could be the catalyst for a strategic repositioning where the UN might seek to navigate between old alliances and emerging trends. The BRICS are no longer just an economy economic coalition. They are assessing that, asserting themselves as a viable alternative to the historic dominance of the Western countries. The unparalleled world as we have known it, meaning the old world. Multipolar era, where several emerging powers are claiming their rightful place in global dominance, making process. So this is the sole purpose. There is a fight between all nations to do what? To take the next step, that they may have a part in history as empires after one of the greatest empires on the planet Earth, which is Babylon the Great, America. They all want a shot of the of that title, which is biblical. All right, which it tells you. Psalms. Let me get a couple. 68, 14, I believe. Sorry, 15. The hill of the Most High is as the hill of Bashan, and high hill as the hill of Bashan. Why leap ye high hills? This is the hill which the Most High desireth to dwell in. Yea, the Lord shall dwell in it forever. Which goes back to Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. When you read up, it tells you all nations is going to come and find the ways of the Lord that appeases them. They want to learn of the Lord. Because it's all about the next in line. The most covenant position. And hills in the scripture represent what? Governments. So I believe it's a Psalm of David. Yep. David is saying, why you governments, why you nations are trying to jump. When it's all said and done, the Lord, when He created, tell you that Isaiah 46 and 10, declaring the end from the beginning, and it tells you, 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, about the 7th verse on down, that Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is of it that follows. There's no in between with that. So the two prominent players in the latter days, which is the last time, is Jacob and Esau. And so happens that Jacob has no power in this world. That's why there will be a Jacob's trouble. And Jacob needs divine intervention. Meaning Jacob is going to be in a position where he's going to need help. That's what the scripture says also, that the meek and the poor, the Lord's going to take care of. Tells you in James that the Lord, so roughly paraphrasing it, it says, matter of fact, let me get that. James 2, 7, I believe. James 2 and 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which He have promised to them that loved Him? So the Lord chose the poor of this world. And the poor of this world so happens to be the Israelites, which are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The same UN, you don't have a seat in there. All right? Let's say hypothetically, I'm thinking of Cuba for some odd reason. Cuba has a ambassador in the UN. You know, Cuba is the enemy of the United States of America. Why would the United States of America allow Cubans, which are Manasseh, that's why I bring them up, to have a seat amongst the other nations? Let's be realistic. So it's not about having power in this world. It's about being a poor. So the two main characters is playing out in the best way, proving once again that Esau, the so-called white man, is the devil. He's the one. He's ushering all this disaster in the world. All right, every last one of it. So all these other nations, they trying to upset prophecy. And to no avail. They can have the BRICS. They can have all these different summits, all these different agreements. I ain't gonna mean shit. Okay? Says Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All right? And this is not the NLT. I don't keep doing this. But there's another version where it tells you that people, the nations are stupid. All right? It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? So this new world order, that's a vain thing. That's nothing new about that. That's old news. All right? They're emerging BRICS and all this good stuff. The Western's influence. All right, tell you Jeremiah 15:1-7 that the nations were mad because they're drinking the wine of her fornication. So the wine was what? It's democracy, philosophy. So they trying to say we're not going to deal with their philosophy, nor their democracy, nor their money, and all this sort of stuff. But we have something better, which is still at the end of the day, the same goddamn thing. The same thing. And it is what? Let's go back to the top. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole article. A new world order in the making. That's the end game. If anybody believes that the East, with all these alliances, going to save you from your troubles, you out of your mind. All right? You out of your mind. It says, Psalms 2:2, the kings of the earth set themselves and rulers take counsel together against the Lord, against his anointed, saying. So there you go. So not only are they making their frivolous alliances and they can't stand one another, but they have an agreement. They're all trying to defeat the Lord. So since they can't get to the Lord physically, they could go get the best thing that's close to the Lord. Us, the Israelites. This is why you don't have a seat. This is why you don't have no power. If people that lives in the islands have anything, it goes back to your oppressor. And how many different nations that is run by so-called blacks? I'm thinking of the Caribbeans right now, and the people that sits in the power seat. The political people, their ancestors don't even go back to the land, because their ancestors go back to the oppressor. So this is how they break, which is it says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. So let's have no association towards in their downfall. Let's do what we gotta do and screw them over. And that's what they have done. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in derision. Now let's look up the word derision. La'ag. La'ag. To mock, deride, ridicule. And that's what's happening. Alright? So the Lord is using these nations to come together for their own destruction, and they don't have no idea. That's why the Lord have them in derision. And yet and now who's gonna get a lot of you people's children executed, destroyed, annihilated. Because World War III, when it was official, even back then, the world wars wasn't public, so to speak, public speak. They just thought it was a common war. But as they intensified, when it comes down to the historical events, it made history, and all the alliances that was created after that, of both sides, it was known as a world war. Because everybody that had any say was a part of that war. And that's the Lord causing the distraction, so to speak. That's what it says about, I'm thinking of Zephaniah 3, that the Lord's determination is to gather the nations. This is how the Lord have them in derision, because he's mocking them. Everything I just made statement, I need to say it. The scriptures clearly tell you that Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth. So the Lord knows what's made for his people. It says, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath. So how the Lord's going to speak to them? He's going to destroy them and vex them in his sore displeasure. I set my king upon my holy hill, which is, once again, hill, represent government. The Lord's holy hill, holy meaning separate. Hebrew word is Kodash. And his holy, separate hill, which is the nation of Israel, he set a king over it. And that king was Yahushua. Alright? Upon my holy hill of Zion, which Zion means monument, I will declare the decree that the Lord has said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. So when did the Lord told David that? And what did David take it as? He taught that Solomon, which is Yahushua, alright, he called Solomon his Lord, and that was his son, because he knew the spirit that was on Solomon, he was above him. So the Lord, the Most High Yahweh, told Yahushua to be in his right hand. You set. And he said, I shall make thy enemies, if we paraphrasing, I shall make them thy footstool. Alright? It says, ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So the new world order is technically realistically, is Yahushua's order, which we know scriptures clearly tell you that the Lord, the scriptures clearly tell you that the Lord dwells with Israel. That's all the Lord's concerned with. Okay? It says, ask of me and I will give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So it's all about rulership. Us ruling over them. Alright? No equality. None of that. The end game is the ultimate, what? Game of Thrones. That's what it's all about, position of power. Well, if anybody believes it's something different than that, nefarious acts of these nations is to instill their version of a new world order, which they shall fail, because the Lord's world order will be his people in rulership. All right. So with that being said, shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.